Good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Go ahead and slide your blocks over and we'll get started with a calf stretch. I'm going to say hi to everybody that's here. Dan, Eleanor, the others, Houston, Dad, welcome. All right, so left foot comes forward, right foot is to the outside of your block. Make sure your left heel stays down, and when you're ready, you pick the back foot up. And we stretch our calves together. Nice deep inhales. Now see if you can pick up the toes of your feet. And when I say feet, I mean your left foot. Fight to straighten the left leg a little bit more. See if you can get any more stretching along the back of the calf. There are some interesting things about calves, about every part of your body, but your calves actually cross the back of the knee, and there are things we do where we bend the knee to stretch the calf, but for now, see if you can keep the leg straight. It has you work balance different, so if you're feeling too wobbly, you just get yourself next to a wall, you use your fingertips. Either way, you're breathing. And now keep the legs straight. You're going to turn the upper body and the pelvis. Everything turns to the left. So if you're watching from My Yoga Better, what you do is you click on the YouTube symbol and it'll take you to YouTube. You have to have an account, but you can chat with us, say good morning, send emojis. It's kind of nice. One more breath. Super duper. Shake the left leg out. And then we're going to keep our weight on the right leg. Take the left leg straight back. And we're going to roll onto the top of your left foot. And I want the weight to be not to the pinky toe side. This is training a sprained ankle. I want the weight to be towards the big toe side of your foot. And if you're pointing your toe a whole lot and you get a foot cramp, you shake that out. But see if you can relax your foot. We're looking for a sensation, a stretch along anterior tibialis, maybe down around the ankle, across the foot. And if that's going well for you, try to roll a little bit more of the foot onto the floor, maybe shift weight back. Still breathing. And then you shake that out. Walk around, feel the difference in left and right foot. And then you give yourself a new fresh side of a block to stretch upon it. So the right heel's down. You got as much of the foot above the edge of the block as you can. And just a side note, we never want to be on too far close to one edge because blocks do flip. And then when you're ready, you pick up the back heel. Now, if you find yourself to be in the category of person who doesn't have a block, you can balance on one leg. This whole entire hour is not about what postures we do, but rather it's about you getting time, feeling your body, getting connected to what's going on, collecting data. And there are certain ways we expose weaknesses and balances, especially we've studied anatomy, how human beings in 2020, what are our weaknesses, where do we tend to have issues, and that has greatly shaped our practice. But the number one thing you can do for yourself today is catch yourself as 100 times throughout this class, holding your breath, thinking, and keep bringing yourself back to the sensations you're having. Now you keep the right leg straight. We're going to turn the upper body and the hips to the back. And all that twitchiness you feel in your feet, we want that. That is a good sign. One more breath. Shake that right foot out. Wiggle your toes. Shake, shake, shake. And then still standing on the left leg, we take the right foot back. Roll into the top of your right foot, making sure not to let the pinky side of the foot take on most of the weight. Keep it towards the big toe side. And now, it was a while ago when we stretched the other foot, it may feel like, but see if you can remember at all any sensations you have, and it may not be specific, but just sort of a guess even. And now compare that to how this right shin feels. And see if you can notice that, or if right foot is tighter. See if you can feel if more of the foot's able to be on the floor. And now you try to get a little bit more of the foot on the floor, maybe shifting more weight back onto the back foot. Nothing too intense. Our easy practice is just about waking the body up. There is some element of, ooh, shake that foot out. There is some element of, ugh, in this practice. Mostly the theme is deliciousness. It feels so great once you do these things. All right, so now you scoot your blocks out of the way. And we're going to stretch your calves out. So normally you start with the toes about 2 to 3 inches from the wall. This time, if you imagine the Macarena, this is the Macarena. So you're going to take your arm straight out in front. You could also use the image of Frankenstein. But we're going to take your left arm straight out in front of you, and I want your palm to touch the wall, but I'm not letting the shoulder come forward. So I'm keeping the shoulder over the hips. Fingertips are going to be pointing to the left, and then you roll the left shoulder down away from the ears. Go ahead and catch the right arm behind the back as best as you can. And then your job is to keep your shoulder down, stay as tall as you can, and we turn the feet. The feet are going to basically stay in the same spot. They're just going to turn, turn, turn until you've gotten as far as you can without the shoulder coming up. If you let the shoulder come up, you can get further, but then that is sacrificing your health, which is not what this practice is about. So using the movement of the hips and the chest, we're trying to turn the upper body to the right. And of the 2 main chest stretches we do, this is the more intense. So you'll feel this one all the way down to your fingertips, hopefully. And now, close your eyes and breathe. Specifically, if you don't know this already, when I say breathe, what I mean is inhale. So see if you can lengthen each inhale. And as you inhale, as you get to the top of the breath, you keep fighting to inhale, but you don't let the shoulder come up. Somehow you keep the shoulder down. And whatever space you created, you keep that openness as you exhale. If you're noticing any tingliness in the hands, shake it out. Don't ignore that, and then come back when you can. One more breath. Now, this may be plenty for you. If it's plenty for you, you stay right there. But if you'd like, you can take your feet forward. If you can afford it. You take your feet forward about an inch or two. Re-lengthen the upper body, the front of the body. Get that left shoulder down. So now we've weighted these muscles in a long position. It should feel weak. Remember, if you're not sure if it should feel like this, you back off. But almost certainly, how this is supposed to feel is exactly how it feels. Phew. One more breath. Deep inhale. Keep inhaling. Wonderful. Now you're going to take your feet back underneath your hips. Head reaches up nice and tall. Keeping the arm exactly where it is, you lighten the weight of your hand on the wall. See if you can get it to hover above the wall without touching. Left shoulder stays down. Head reaches up. 3, 2, let the arms slide down. And now we swing the arms. Yay. Close your eyes as you swing your arms. Wonderful. Now stay right where you are. Just relax your arms. Close your eyes for a moment. And now you feel the difference between left and right hand. Notice if there's any nuance that you can sort of taste between left and right shoulder. Deep inhale. Can you expand your breath deeper on the left side of your rib cage? Last breath. And now you open your eyes for second side. So again, right arm comes straight out in front of you. Your fingertips are pointing to the right. We catch that left arm behind the back. You get the right shoulder down, lock it in place. And then feet are going to be basically in the same spot. You're going to turn the feet around. And once you get to where you're going, you reach up, arch the chest. This side is so different. If you can, close your eyes as you savor each inhale, imagining any tightness you're feeling expanding. Trying to breathe all the way down. Can you feel it? Which is very different than talking about it to yourself, assessing it. I want you to just breathe. All the way down to the wrists, the fingertips. There should be no pain or discomfort in the knees whatsoever. If you feel that, you just need to dial the feet back towards the right. Now keep the feet where they are, keep the hand where it is. You're going to just try to turn the chest and the hips a little bit more to the left. Now you're welcome to stay here, or you can walk your feet forward an inch or so, not a whole lot. The main place we can get into danger with this is if the shoulder comes up. So I want you hanging out on the shoulder joint. We're keeping the shoulders down. This is much safer for your shoulder joint. And you'll notice that in this practice, if we do stretch the shoulder, it's in this direction. So we typically do not stretch the back of the shoulder. Mostly if you look at what a person looks like slouching, the back of the shoulder is really stretched and long all day. So we don't practice the things we already do all the time. We do the opposite. And this line is responsible for a lot of problems all the way down into the hands. And so I want you to be real good at doing this. I want you to have amazing mobility in the chest in this way. One more breath. Make it count full and deep. You open up the chest. Keep inhaling. Wonderful. Take the feet back behind you. Our last little thing. Head reaches straight up, so I'm not going to be moving the hips. I just lean forward enough so that the hand lightens. And now can I get the arm to move over to the right a little bit more? Arms stay straight. Try to touch your fingertips to your forearm. Deep breath. And now you step forward. Matching pair. Swing your arms. Tick-tock your head. And if you, just for a moment, in case you're new to this practice, for the arm swing, I'm not robot arms. So my arms are not they're relaxed. Keeping the shoulders down as the arms swing through the range of motion. I'm not letting the head and shoulders come forward. I'm keeping uprightness. And then the feel at the end of your wrist as your hands swing back, it should sort of dangle a little bit. So we're forcing blood into the hands. Your arms are very heavy. If you ever wondered why, after you've run or you've seen someone run, they take their hands on their hips, because it actually allows for your rib cage to move better when you inhale. See if you can feel as you swing the arms, the shoulders pulling down. And now can you reach your head up? One more inhale. Great. Now relax your arms. You're going to take your feet as wide as your mat and take your arms out into a T and just sort of do a little helicopter. I can't think of what the word is. Propeller. That's what it is. Make sure you can't hit anybody. And then the same thing we just did. Think super overcooked noodly arms. We're going to let the arms swing in this horizontal position. So knees are soft. No pain in the knees as usual. And as you twist, you let the arms collide into the body, unless you happen to be wearing a microphone pack. And then you might have to change where your arm lands. And I'll try to inhale for 4 of these arm swings. And exhale for 4. One more breath. Very good. Feet come all the way together. So we want the heels touching the inside of the feet as much as you can. And then you stand up nice and tall. See if you can reach the hips just about an inch back over the heels. And then you imagine someone's caught you by your head. They're pulling you straight up. And now close your eyes. Feel the difference in your arms. Feel the never-ending movement as your feet adjust to where your hips are. Side to side, front to back. And if you felt twitchy when we were stretching your calf, if you feel twitchy when we're balancing, and you ever doubted that it was supposed to feel like this, now you can sort of feel what it's like on 2 feet. Still a pretty narrow base. One more breath. Awesome. Open your eyes. Now we're going to shift right over to the left leg, set the right foot on top. Just like so. If you need to, you can use your toesies on the floor as a kickstand, or again, you just use the wall. Even standing by a wall actually gives your brain some awareness of what's happening. And all this stuff we practice, we get better at, and we're never too hard on ourselves at the beginning. Even if you've been doing this for 10 years and you're still not good at balance, just chuckle. Give yourself a high five for not giving up. And now if you do have your toes on the floor, try to see how long you can balance on one foot, picking the toes up. And I recommend getting an analog clock or something you can actually watch. The minimum we want you to be able to do is a minute balancing on one leg, preferably 2. And in the beginning, a lot of the work you feel might be in the ankle. The thing to look forward to is if you feel a lot of burning sensation in the foot and ankle, it's going to move all the way up to your buns. Very good. Now you keep the left leg straight. We're going to do our little sassy hips. So left hip stays where it is. We drop the left hip below the right hip. Left hip stays where it is. You pick the right hip up. Up and down you go. Left leg is straight, so the movement is not coming from my left knee, or the right knee rather, although the right knee is moving. It's from this right hip, and how you know you're doing it is you'll feel quite the work in your left hip. Make sure you're breathing. Go ahead and do 5 more. You really should be feeling this left hip cooking. 2 more. And we'll call that 5. Instead of coming up, you keep the right hip high, left leg is straight. Tick-tock your head. Oh, my leg. Oh, no. Whoa. Head comes to center, you turn the head. And you might be thinking, this isn't delicious. Oh, but wait. Last, you come back to center, deep breath, and then you walk around. This is delicious. Tasty. Super. And now we get the right foot. I guess we'll have to reserve super, that term, for our bad waiter. We do bad waiter, which we'll do in a moment if you have never met bad waiter. It's our #1 posture fixer-upper. And that is a super pose. Not to superimpose that onto balancing. But it looks like I did that anyway. So now notice what's different. Is your right leg straight? Can you arch the chest up? How tall can you be? Notice if you tried to get taller with the shoulders help. That's not helpful shoulders, but thanks. Really allow for the twitchiness of this right foot. Using the wall or your kickstand if you need to. And now we keep the right leg straight, and up and down you go with the left hip. Deep breaths. Allowing for the burning in the right hip to intensify. Last one. Keep the left hip up. Nice and tall, we tick-tock the head. Ooh. Now for the tick-tock of the head, you really have to keep your visual focus quite intent on one spot. And somehow breathe at the same time. Now you come back to center, deep inhale. I want you to stay connected to these sensations in your right foot as you turn the head. So as you're turning the head, you're continuing to feel all the work that's on this right leg. And then the best part, your head comes back to center. As tall as you can be, take a nice deep breath. And then as you exhale, you walk around. Feel your legs. Shake them out. And now go ahead and mosey on over to a wall. We're going to do, so we just did balance on one foot. Now we're going to narrow our base and balance on 2 feet. Kinds of ways we can make balance fun. So hopefully you have some kind of line that you have in your room. If you don't have a wall, maybe you're on the edge of your mat, something like that. But we want how your feet, the direction your feet are pointing is important. So we're going to start with the left foot, your heel is in line with the middle of the front of your foot. And then you take the right foot forward, maybe about 6 to 8 inches. And the same thing here. So the heel in the middle of the bridge of the foot are in line. And what we don't want is the left foot to turn out, the back foot to turn out. So both feet are in line. If you notice that this makes balancing harder, that's the whole idea. And once you get in this position, you straighten the legs. And we want the weight distribution between your front and back leg to be about 50%. You might have to guesstimate if you don't have wood slats that are in line with your wall. And now no one's allowed to fall over. So you use a fingertip on the wall, and we'll do it in stages just so you can back off when you need to. So you keep all this length you've created, you keep the distribution between the right and left foot the same. But now close your left eye. And if that's going well, you can open your left eye and try to close your right eye. I'm working on being an ambidextrous winker. I'm not quite there yet. I just look like I have a tic. And once you've had fun with those two, you can play around with closing your eyes. Whoa. Feel all that work your feet have to do. You straighten the legs a little bit more, allowing for the twitchiness like we've been doing in all these other balancing postures. And then you open your eyes. Walk around, feel your legs. See if you notice any detail that's different. Technically, we've made you a better walker. Now we're going to turn around for a second side. So we have the right heel as in line with the front of the foot, the bridge of the foot as we can, and then you take your left foot forward, using your fingertip on the wall as needed. And then you check on that back foot again, make sure it didn't sneak a turn out. It turns out, then when your foot is turned out, it makes this easier. There's also some issues we can get in the knees. And so it might feel like your foot is turned in quite a bit. Yay! That means you're on the right path. So now you check in with how much weight is on the front and back leg and see if you can distribute it 50-50. Now your pelvis is in the center. Imagine you could reach the head away from the upper body, from the lower body, and you let the feet twitch away. What do you call it when you're in yoga and someone makes up a fake pose? You call it an imposture. It's kind of nice that there's no one in the room, so I can imagine you chuckling, even though you're probably not. I'll chuckle for you. Now you close your, let's try the right eye this time. Ooh. And now you try closing just the left eye. Still breathing. And now you try closing both. And this should feel wildly different. Your feet, if your feet stop moving, this is what happens. You fall over. And hopefully you've set yourself up close enough to a wall, you fall into the wall. And you come right back. One more breath. And then you shake that out. Ooh-wee. Walk around. Very good. And you slide one of your blocks over. You're going to flip the block up, catch it with your hands without bending over. It's fun, even if you can't pick it up. So we set the block in front. I'm going to try with my left foot today, just because, right foot's pretty easy for me. So the game is you flip the block on top of your foot, and then you kick it up and catch it. And then once you've caught your block, you take your arms straight out in front. Aw, you guys, it's so nice to see you on there. Your little comments. Alright, so shoulders are down, arms are in front. And we're crushing the block with the hands, just like so. And then you're trying to pull the block in this direction. So we have two things happening at this moment. And now notice where your hips are. If your hips have done their thing and gone forward, reach the hips back. And this thing we're talking about right now, where you get the shoulders down your back, it's not necessarily just the easiest thing to get connected to. So if you're not quite sure what we're talking about when we say get the shoulders down, your job is just stay curious. See if you can play around with it. So hands are still crushing the block. You're going to bend the elbows. Make your little viewfinder. Your peekaboo. Triangle, square, trapezoid. And now what happened to this movement of your blocks? Did you stop doing that? See if you can reach the block away from each other. Reach the hands away from each other. Crush the block between your fingertips. Now don't move the hips. Don't change the angle of the arm and forearm. But now you reach the elbows up. And somehow as the elbows reach up, you press your hips back. Checking back in with your shoulders, see if you can get them down. Arch the chest up between your upper arms. Are you still trying to rip the block in two? Oh. One more breath. Yay, set the block between the knees. And then we do our standard process of swinging the arms to feel it. You feel the blood rush back to your fingertips. And now we do our second position. So very similar looking. You take the block, the middle of this side of the block is going to be right on the inside of your elbow, where your humerus ends. And now your elbows are shoulder height. Might need to wiggle it around a little bit. And you may have started holding your breath to get yourself in this position. So if you haven't yet got the block yet, or you're noticing that now, your heart rate might be up. So you inhale. Might be anticipating, the next few moments in this position, dreading it perhaps. See if you can stay curious. I wonder what this is going to be like. And now if you haven't yet started, you reach the wrist. And there's enthusiasm between the elbows, so there is an enthusiastic squishing of the block. I highly doubt anyone's block is in danger of being squished. It might be in danger of falling to the floor. If your block does fall to the floor, you chuckle, pick it up, put it back between your arms. Very good. Now wrists stay reaching apart. Same idea as before. Keep the hips back. You reach the elbows up. And as the elbows reach up, the shoulder blades slide down the back. So we're trying to slide the shoulders away from the ears towards the pelvis as the elbows reach up and the wrists reach apart. You might even be lucky enough to have a cramp in your back as you do this. Notice how inhaling is more challenging with this position. One more breath. And as you exhale, set the block down, swing your arms. Tick-tock. Wonderful, wonderful. All right. Using your feet, you slide your blocks into our standard quad burning position. And mostly we call it quad burning because that's what it feels like. So, we'll start with our feet, mat width apart. Bend the knees, you take your hands on the thighs, just above the knees, and then you get your shoulders down, we drape the belly. Sink the hips. And I like to start us here because this really sets us up for what I want you to continue doing when we slide the elbows down. So the second we start sliding the elbows to your thighs, it's going to be really easy to slouch and do it. And just like we were talking with the shoulder earlier, so much of your day is spent in spinal flexion. We really have almost completely gotten rid of it in the practice. I have been, saying always and never or completely sometimes with things is not a good idea, but I'm pretty sure it's completely gotten rid of spinal flexion. And there are some special situations, but for most of us, that's not an issue. So we continue to drape the belly down, and your job is to see if you can imagine. So what we're doing right now is we've actually created a situation where you have very few shirt crinkles in the front, hopefully, and you have a lot of shirt crinkles in the back. We're trying to give you as many shirt crinkles as you can on the back side of your spine. This way we know this is the side that's working. So you keep that stuff engaged, just like it's going to get married soon, and you slide your elbows down to your thighs. Now, how do you keep your back in that position? Well, in the beginning it's hard, and you may not be able to. So if you can't quite do it, your job is to keep fighting for it. It's the fight that matters. So as long as you're not just giving into the deliciousness of slouching, how good it feels, as long as you're fighting for this, your day is going to go much better, and your back's going to be healthier. So now what's happening in the knees? So real quick, like I didn't say this earlier, look down at your feet for just a moment and make sure your feet are parallel. If there's any turnout of the feet, it makes it a higher likelihood that your knees are falling in, and then we can get into no bueno issues in the knee. So you make sure the feet are parallel, and then you press your knees apart. Can you sink the hips a little bit lower? And we're using the elbows as sort of a way to push down through the thighs, continuing to arch the chest up. And for the most part, my head and chest stay right where they are, but I'm going to move the hips up and down. Smooth little movements. And we say good morning to the drama that is our quadriceps. It's like a yippee chihuahua. It can be intense. And if you're wondering what it feels like to get better at this, just more of this, longer, for much longer. Keep pressing your knees apart. Now more than anything, inhale matters. Each extra bit of oxygen you can get into the lungs helps produce the energy necessary to continue the movement. All right, let's not give up. Why would you do this? Why would you continue these movements? Because this is what weakness feels like. We're trying to get you stronger. Turns out these kind of movements are super important for the health of your knees. Ooh. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Super duper. Set the hips down a little lower. Fingertips on the block. You arch that. I promise. We're almost there. You can do it. 2 more breaths. See if you can let the arms hang. 3, 2, one more inhale. 1. Catch your blocks. Set them aside. Hands on the floor. Oh, yeah. All the way down to hands and knees. And then you wiggle your hips. The first version of wiggling we're going to do, the upper body's pretty still. And the hips are doing most of the side-to-side movement. No pain in your knee again here, even if it's just from the pressure of the floor. Pad your knees. And now you're going to bring your hips back to the center, and you're just going to move the upper body. What's happening in your hands? See if you can make your hands work as you do this. And then you bring your upper body to the center, and now we're going to do both at the same time. So I'm going to take the upper body on the right side and the right side of the hips, and you're going to lean both of them together. And then you switch. We're making a C shape on the right side and the C shape on the left side. Even though this is hard to see, supersedes doing it. One more time each side. Or you could say that was a supersede. Good job. All right, a few things for the hands. Shoulders stay over the wrist. Belly is reaching towards the floor. And then we're going to alternate picking up the base of the palm. So your hands are going to be in basically a natural position. So they're not super froggy fingers, nor is it pageant waving hand. So it's a relaxed position. And when I say knuckles, it's this. I mean these bones right here in your hand. So you keep the knuckles down. The thumb doesn't move. None of the fingertips move. It's just the base of the palm that's coming up. If you don't have a lot of range of motion and your palm just barely lifts off the floor, that's okay. It's okay. Your job in this class is to learn how to just be where you're at. No matter how much I want to be in Italy right now, I'm in Houston, and I cannot be where I am not. Now I can make a plan to get there, which would be quite a long time away, maybe 10 years away, 5 years, but I can't be there now. So how can you let yourself just be how you are? It's kind of nice at your house because you can't compare yourself too much to others. Then you come back to center, and then you're going to play around with how do you pick up both palms at the same time without letting the movement come from your shoulders. And it's the main difference we get into when we go from a beginner practice to an advanced practice is your ability to not try to do the things you can't do yet. So you're learning how do you let yourself not push your body into danger. 2 more. Beautiful. Go ahead and set the elbows on the floor. Wiggle the fingers. Make a fish. You roll your wrists. And it is quite the challenge to do a slower practice. Most humans want to do stuff. I want to do something. What's next? What's next? And getting present, it takes some quiet. It takes some practice. One more time, you wiggle the hands. Roll the thumbs around. So, forearms are parallel. It's like you're trying to drive your elbows into the floor. You get the shoulders away from the ears, and then see if you can feel where the knees are relative to your hips. I want your knees underneath the hips. So we've got weight on the arms. And now let's go ahead and tap our thumbs together. So you're trying to tap the thumbs simultaneously. There we go. And then you try to tap the middle finger. And then the pinky. If you have a ring on your pinky finger, it might be louder than the rest of your fingers. And now we're going to add all 3 of those together. So the middle finger, the thumb, and the pinky, up and down they go. Now what almost certainly is happening is you're holding your breath. So can you continue just a couple more of these while inhaling? Oh, what's happening in your hands? They have a mind of their own. The thing. And now you relax that, just the index finger. Get those shoulders down. And now the most challenged finger of all, ring finger. Still breathing. And now we add both of the fingers, so the index and the ring. Up and down they go sometimes, except for when they don't go up and down. What happened? I didn't ask my pinky to come up. Oh goodness. Now last one, just for chuckles. You're going to alternate between the 2. So you'll pick the index and ring finger up, and then you switch to the thumb, middle finger, and pinky. Switch between the 2. Now you're really holding your breath. Inhale. So good. Now wiggle your fingers and feel how different your hands feel. Might be warmer a little bit. Roll the wrists. Beautiful. Walk the legs all the way back. Yay. Daily reading. So forearms are parallel. You push down through the elbows. Start with a little neck tick-tock or head tick-tock. Head comes back to center. You turn the head. Very good. Left hand turns over towards the right. You're going to roll onto your left hip. So you have your right leg on top, left leg on bottom. And now you're going to bend the top leg, take it back. Bend the bottom leg, slide it up. And then we take both elbows towards the floor. See if you can breathe into any work you're feeling in your shoulders. And notice the deeper inhale you take, the more sensation you uncover. Elbows walk over to the left. One more inhale. Hand slide underneath the shoulders. You spin around. You're going to be facing the back of your mat. Feet as wide as the mat. Arch the chest up. You lengthen the front of the body. A tick-tock, right to left. And then when the knees get back over to the right, you keep them there. Take the elbows all the way down to the floor. I'm going to make sure that this right thigh is now parallel with the front edge of your mat. If the knee comes forward, it just turns it into a different pose. And we're looking for twisting. So the upper body is pointing one direction, the hips is pointing another. And then you walk your elbows over to the right. You can relax your belly towards the floor as you inhale deeply. Keep bringing your mind back. Bringing your awareness, your attention to the body. One more breath. And you slide your hand on the shoulders. This time, instead of spinning towards the back of the mat, you're going to take your legs forward. And we're going to lie over a block. So you grab one of your blocks, scoot yourself far enough away from the wall so you can't lie back and hit yourself on the head. And we set the block up in a hang ten's width. So where the tailbone ends, the thumb begins, and where the pinky ends, the block begins. And I like to take my arms up overhead once I get down. So you might make sure there's enough room to do that as well. So the number one piece of information, the thing for you to know, is that your hips have to stay on the floor. If your hips cannot stay on the floor, you set a block underneath the head, But we're trying to lengthen abdomen, and if your hips come up, that just means that you're not quite able to do that. So you just set a block under the head. It's not a big deal. You might need 2 blocks. That's okay. Set 2 blocks or grab a pillow. But I want you to keep your hips on the floor, and then you relax the upper body over the block. Just give yourself a moment to relax into this position. Bend the knees, feet side to flat, as wide as a mat. With the feet as wide as your mat, you tick-tock the knees. You're welcome to take your arms up overhead. Maybe move your microphone pack out of the way. If you do take your arms up overhead, make sure you get those shoulders down. Your shoulders and your ears are just, if they're close together, you have worse blood flow to your brain, to your arms. It's a real issue when it comes to circulation. And then your knees come back to the center. You're going to take your feet all the way together, and you're going to let your knees fall apart. So we're like in a butterfly position here. Close your eyes. Let the weight of gravity pull the knees towards the floor. Inhale, you feel the opening of the chest as you expand the lungs, trying to get the rib cage to do that movement. Belly is as soft can be. See if you can shake from the effort of your inhale. As you get to the top of your breath, you try to keep inhaling, keep inhaling. You're not holding your breath, you're keeping the throat open. And then as you exhale, just like a sigh. Take the heel of your palm, slide the heel of the palm all the way up the legs close to the pelvis. We're going to do a little back traction. So you're going to try to straighten your arms. You're pushing the femurs away from the pelvis. And as you push the femurs away, can you relax your belly? You imagine more space between each vertebrae. Inhale, you open up the chest. Exhale, you relax your belly as you push the legs away. 2 more breaths. And now we slide the hands under the thighs. You help your knees up. Roll all the way off the block. Get rid of it. Yay! Set the block down. Legs come out to straight. And you give up any tension you can in the body. Try to relax any tension you got in the face. Maybe slide the shoulders down a little bit more. Feel your hands, your feet. For this next 30 seconds to a minute, how much can you give up in the body? Maybe imagine perfect circulation to every square inch of your body. Again, roll your head side to side on the floor. Feel your neck. And then you can start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Make a fist, roll your wrists and ankles. Bend the knees, feet come to flat. Again, your feet are as wide as your mat. Tick-tock the knees. You can take your arms right up on overhead. And for a good morning stretch that you can do at night too. It feels amazing then also. And you pick a side. As you bring your arms down, make sure the shoulders stay away from the ears. You roll onto your side and find a relatively graceful way to come to standing. Making sure if you get or feel lightheaded, you tick-tock your head on the way up. And then once you do get up, tick-tock. Nice. Head comes back to center. Bend the elbows. It's time for our super pose. So palms face up. Try to point the thumbs towards the floor as tall as you can be. We're imagining you have soup in your hand because this is supination of the forearm. So it's an easy way to remember it. So we're pouring that soup out. You reach the wrists apart and then you kick your elbows forward. So as the elbows kick forward, that allows for this really important movement I want you to get in the shoulders, which is down. So elbows are forward, shoulders are down. You might not look like me. That's great because you're not me. You're you and you're perfect the way you are. So your job is to be amazed at how wonderful you're doing, regardless. Head keeps reaching up. See if you can feel work in the shoulder joint as you get those shoulders down. Head floats up. One more breath. And as you exhale, keep your shoulders down, relax your arms. Last time you close your eyes, checking in, feeling, getting present to you, all the wonderfulness that is you, your feet, the sensation of your feet on the floor, the hands, the weightlessness of your head as it effortlessly reaches away from the rest of your body. And you open your eyes. Thank you so much for your hard work. It's an honor to get to be with you. Self high fives. I can't wait till next time. Happy Tuesday. Bye.